You can eat pomegranates every single day for the rest of your life and still produce zero of one of the most promising longevity molecules ever studied. Roughly 60% of adults can't make meaningful amounts of it on their own. And as of late 2025, we now have data showing that when you do get it into your system, it makes aging immune cells look measurably younger in just 4 weeks. The molecule is called Urolithin A, and what's happening in the research right now is genuinely worth your attention. Hey everyone, today we're talking about Urolithin A, UA for short, because there's a brand new trial that just dropped in Nature Aging that I think most people are going to miss. We'll cover what UA actually is, why your gut might be silently failing to produce it, what this new immune study showed, how it compares to the other longevity molecules you've heard about like NMN and resveratrol, and what to actually do about it if you're over 40 and starting to think about this stuff. I want this to be useful, not hype-why, so we'll talk honestly about the limits of the evidence too. Here's the part that surprises people. Urolithin A is not in any food, not pomegranates, not walnuts, not raspberries. What those foods contain are precursors, compounds called L-argitinins and ellagic acid. When you eat them, they travel down to your large intestine, and then specific gut bacteria have to convert them into urolithin A. So UA is what scientists call a postbiotic. It's the downstream product of bacterial metabolism, not a probiotic, not a vitamin, not something you can directly eat. And here's the catch, only about 40% of people have the right bacteria to do this conversion well. Researchers classify people into 3 metabotypes. A produces urolithin A, B mostly makes a less active version called urolithin B, and 0 makes basically nothing. A 2025 study in Nature Communications actually traced the key bacteria responsible to specific Enterocloster species. So whether your gut works for this or not depends on a microbial lottery you didn't know you were entered in. So why do we care about this molecule at all? The short answer is mitophagy. Your mitochondria are the little power plants inside your cells, and as you age, they get damaged and start working less efficiently. Mitophagy is the cellular cleanup crew that recognizes broken mitochondria, recycles them, and makes room for healthy new ones. The problem is mitophagy itself slows down with age. Urolithin A activates the AMPK and PINK1 Parkin pathways. These are the molecular switches that flip the cleanup process on. Think of it like emptying the trash in cells that have been letting it pile up for decades. And there's a brutal irony here. The people who would benefit most from boosting mitophagy, older adults, are also the people whose UA-producing bacteria are dying off. A prevalence drops with age, and B rises, especially between ages 20 and 40. So the system that's supposed to help you most is the one quietly going offline. Now to the news. In late 2025, researchers published the MitoImmune trial in Nature Aging. They took 50 healthy adults aged 45 to 70, gave them either 1,000 milligrams a day of a standardized Urolithin A product or a placebo, and followed them for 4 weeks. The results were striking. The UA group showed an expansion of naive-like CD8 plus T cells. Those are the immune cells that haven't yet been worn out by chronic exposure to pathogens. They also saw a 14.7 percentage point increase in CD8 plus fatty acid oxidation capacity, which basically means those immune cells got better at burning fuel for energy. NK cell levels went up, inflammatory cytokines went down. In plain English, their immune cells looked phenotypically younger after just 28 days. This isn't the first UA trial. A 2022 study in JAMA Network Open showed older adults gained measurable muscle endurance after 4 months on it. A Cell Reports Medicine study showed about a 12% improvement in muscle strength in middle-aged adults, so the immune data is now stacking on top of an already real evidence base. I want to be clear about something because the longevity supplement space is full of noise. Urolithin A is not in the same evidence category as NMN or resveratrol. Most longevity molecules you hear about have impressive mouse studies and very thin human data. UA has multiple peer-reviewed randomized controlled trials in humans with measurable functional endpoints, strength, endurance, immune markers, mitochondrial gene expression in actual muscle biopsies. That's rare. Researchers are now even testing whether UA can boost the response to cancer immunotherapy by rejuvenating exhausted T cells in patients on checkpoint inhibitors. That said, and this is important, the effect sizes in healthy people are modest. We're talking meaningful but not miraculous, and long-term safety beyond about 4 months hasn't been studied yet. Let's clear up a few things. First, just eating more pomegranate won't necessarily fix this. If you're zero or B, more ellagic acid going in still equals very little UA coming out. The conversion is rate limited by your microbes, not the dose. Second, walnuts and pomegranates don't contain urolithin A, they contain the precursors. Big difference. Third, a generic probiotic from the grocery store will not restore your UA producing capacity. The specific bacteria involved aren't in standard products. And fourth, really pay attention to this one. Most pomegranate extract supplements do not contain urolithin A, they contain the same precursors that depend on your gut to convert. If a label doesn't say standardized urolithin A, it's almost certainly not delivering what the trials tested. Okay, practical takeaways. Start with the boring stuff that actually works. Exercise, especially zone 2 cardio and resistance training, naturally stimulates mitophagy. So does adequate sleep and not chronically overeating. UA is an add-on, never a substitute for the basics. If you want to test the food route, load up on pomegranate, walnuts, raspberries, strawberries, and blackberries for 3 or 4 days and see how you feel. Though honestly, without lab testing your urinary urolithin levels, you won't really know if your gut is converting. If you decide to try a supplement, the clinically tested dose is 500 to 1,000 milligrams per day of a standardized Urolithin A product. The trials specifically used Mitopure. Lower label doses and unverified generics may not get you there. A quick honest note, this is moderately well studied, but it's not for everyone. It hasn't been tested in pregnancy, breastfeeding, or kids, so skip it in those situations. And if you're a cancer patient on immunotherapy, talk to your oncologist before adding it, because UA's effect on T cells is exactly why it's being studied as an adjunct. That's a conversation for your medical team, not a supplement aisle decision. Also try to avoid unnecessary antibiotics, which can wipe out the bacteria you do have. And know that branded UA isn't cheap, usually $60 to $100 a month, so weigh that against the modest effect sizes in healthy people. So here's the bottom line. Urolithin A is one of the few longevity molecules with real, repeated human trial data, now spanning muscle, mitochondria, and immune function. But the natural pathway is broken for most adults and gets more broken with age. The 2025 MitoImmune data is genuinely interesting because it suggests a 4-week intervention can shift immune cell biology in a measurable, plausibly meaningful direction. Whether that translates into living longer or getting sick less often is still an open question, and we should be honest about that. But this is one of those rare cases where the science is moving faster than the marketing, and it's worth keeping an eye on. If you found this useful, give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments whether you've tried UA or whether you're sticking with the food and exercise route. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.